Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. Hi, guys. How's it hanging? Welcome to our bonus episode. So clearly we are recorded. We are not live today, and that is okay. But don't worry, I didn't edit anything out because that takes too much effort. No. Not no, it's true. But I like things fresh as they are. So with us today, very exciting guest, we have Juan Espinoza. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. So where are you visiting us from? It looks kind of sunny behind those blinds there.
California.
Oh, that's why it's sunny. Well then, I don't know if I like you anymore. So I'm in Southern Ontario in Canada, and it's not horrible here because I'm really quite south. Like a lot of the states are above me, so I'm really quite south. It's a dreary day today.
Is it like cold over there? I would assume it'd be very cold.
It's so I don't know in Fahrenheit what this would be, but we're between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius. So
Sounds cold.
not below freezing. We're above freezing. So
Just slightly.
just slightly above freezing, but soon enough we're gonna be into the 20s and then we'll all be melting. So I'm okay with that, and I would like the California weather all the time.
Yeah, it's nice. It's expensive, but nice. I think that's what we pay for is just the weather.
I live in Canada. Everything's expensive. So anyway, not gonna go there too much. So tell us a little bit about who Juan is.
So, just father, veteran. Now I'd be a writer, I guess. An author,
Yep.
speaker. It's definitely a lot of that just came, besides obviously the veteran dad part, all that came within the last couple months actually.
Oh,
So it
okay.
was very rapid, very fast.
All right. Very cool. So other than the dad part, because that's always like ingrained in us. But like that's what you do or did. Veteran would be more of a did word, I suppose. But that's what you do. Who are you? Who are you on the insides?
It's very tricky. It's very
I know.
relentless. I'll tell
This
you
is the
that.
hardest question of the whole thing, I promise you.
Yeah, so I would say just a good person. I would say, everybody
Okay.
I've talked to, you're like very good person. You've been through a lot, and somehow you're still a good person. A lot of people, when they go through tough times, that's when they start to get bitter, right? Me, it's always
Mm-hmm.
been the same. You know, very relentless. I keep good morals and try to be a good person just to everybody.
Okay. See that's the spirit, the essence of who you are. So, all right, let's go on back in history here. Start your story wherever makes the most sense for you, and I will just randomly interrupt you with questions.
Okay, definitely. So, I grew up in a pretty good childhood. I can't say it was bad. We weren't rich, we weren't poor.
Hmm.
We had enough to get by, and we made the best of it. And I had a lot of good figures in my life. My dad, my stepmom, which is my mom.
Hmm.
Um, have three sisters. So two of them actually communicate all the time. We definitely very close.
Oh, good.
That's who I go to if I need like some advice for like my daughter. I'm like, hey, like, what do I do?
Right? Oh,
uh,
yeah. It's always fun. Being a parent is one thing, but of the other gender. So when I was pregnant, I went, this has to be a girl because I don't know how to potty train a boy.
yeah, it's interesting, especially like getting ready. I get ready fast, and she takes forever. I'm just like,
Yeah.
does it really take that long? And then I talk to my sister, like, well,
Yes.
she's a girl. I was like, okay,
She's
okay.
got to do the hair and the makeup and the clothes.
Yeah, so it's definitely getting used to like adapting, you
Yeah.
know, those personalities or the traits. It's hard when you're like that military, you have that ingrained in you where you just like
Mm-hmm.
be very not harsh.
Regimented.
Yeah, you can be
Yeah.
very harsh. Yeah, with the obviously with the girl, you can't really do that.
No.
Yet you have to do it a certain way where it's not so aggressive.
Come back to that word of kind, being kind.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. So, okay. So you had a decent upbringing, and then when did you decide to join?
So I signed actually the day after I turned 18.
Oh, young.
Yeah,
Young.
day after I turned 18, I went to basic training about 3 months after that. And then after basic training, I think it was only about like a couple months long. I got to my unit in Tennessee, and we deployed to Afghanistan about 4 months after that. So I was still
What
18 when I
year was
deployed.
it?
2010 is when I deployed.
Okay.
So that was my first deployment.
Yeah.
Then I got out of the military. Then I deployed a few more times after that.
How many times did you do it in total?
I spent about 5 years overseas,
Oh,
four in
wow.
Afghanistan.
That is a long time.
Yeah, so it was the military, like private contracting as well. So it wasn't all
Okay.
strictly military.
Yeah, but still, that's a long time to be in a different environment, um, a much different environment, I'm assuming, and then having to come back home and try to deal with how things were here because now there's this large gap that you weren't here for, and everybody else is living their life and doing their thing. And not that they forget about you, but you're not part of their day to day routine.
Definitely, I think that's a big part is to understand it's you think like it pauses, but it doesn't pause. So
No.
when you come back, they basically moved on without you because you weren't there, technically. So that's the
Exactly.
hardest adjustment is to be like, where do I fit in again?
Yeah. So how did you adjust?
So I adjusted. I did a lot what you would think, you get older, you have a family, you get married, stuff like that. And that was to me of a way of fitting back to the normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, but it didn't really, I didn't fit back into that normal, mental state. You still had those
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, you still reliving those experiences. And, a lot of the times is we bury those things to,
Yeah.
if we bury them, they don't exist, but that's not
Right?
true
You're
at all.
ostrich. Stick your head in the sand. I don't see it. It's not there.
Exactly.
Doesn't
So
work.
that's definitely what I did, and I learned the hard way. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. So how did you learn it that hard way? What
Facing it.
so how did that come to kind of blows? So I know you kind of wrote about it a little bit in your book,
Hmm.
which we'll talk about at the end there. But like it came to kind of a big blowout, and you had to hold up that mirror and look at it.
Exactly. So it's actually at this point, it's just you bury everything, and that's what I did. But it was actually last December, actually. So is where I did that big face the mirror, everything entirely. So that's where
Okay.
I just went at it. Honestly, I just faced everything at one shot, and that's where my book comes from. It's did it in 2 days, but
Oh
so that
wow. Okay.
yeah. So definitely, it was very fast, humbling, very humbling. But it
Yeah.
was definitely after facing everything entirely, just learning the good, the bad, but also what I didn't do. That's where clarity came.
So what you didn't do. So what kind of things would that entail?
So that's a big thing. It's when before I always thought about the good and the bad, but
Yeah.
I never really learned. Before I never really got the concept or got the message that lesson that was happening. But also, I learned when I actually what I didn't do. For instance, like my marriage, right? I was there physically, but I wasn't there mentally, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was worried about bills and providing, and so I didn't provide that um, full that mental space, that connection, right?
Which is
Uh,
huge in a marriage. Yeah.
Big time. So it's as like a guy, we don't talk about feelings, like, but also in
I
order
know my
to
husband's the same. I'm like, we've been together 18 years. I think I've seen him cry maybe 3 times. Maybe.
yeah, but that's the thing. It's like it's a connection, not
Yeah.
just bills. It's also a connection. So I didn't do that.
Exactly.
Um, and then my last relationship, I was there mentally, but I was there physically, right? So I did the opposite.
Yeah, you swung too far to the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I learned, like, this is what I didn't do right. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean I was a bad person. It's just I didn't do it at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big equation I've learned. It's what we do, good and bad. That's 50% of the problem. The other 50 is what we didn't do for a
Yeah.
variety of different reasons.
You know what? I think so. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the show when we're recording. It's very exciting. And of those 4 years, I think you're the first person to put it that way,
Really?
which is pretty amazing since we've got like 250 episodes out, and you're the first one to really said there's a big chunk of it that's, or 50% as you said, that is what we didn't do. Because we don't look at it that way, and I've never really looked at it that way before either, and now I'm starting to ponder and go, oh yeah, okay, I see that. I'll need more pondering later. I'll have to go look in that mirror. I got some nice big mirrors in the bathroom, but then I might get distracted of my so prettiness. No, just kidding. I like to keep it light here. So as you're kind of having these revelations, what actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. What led up to you needing to have this revelation? You needing to kind of do that look in the mirror and go, oh.
So it was actually, it was last year around December, a book happened. I was just in a lot of pain. I felt it. So, what we typically do, everybody go to vices sometimes, alcohol, that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously trying to sleep, because maybe if I just sleep, take sleeping pills, nothing really works. And it was just, I worked out. I was like, if I just sweat it out, right? Eventually it'll go away.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where that revelation came, is when went outside and I was working out and it was raining, and something told me to go out in the rain. So that's why I went out in the rain, and just at that point I felt like life was just kicking me on the ground. So right when I fell down, I felt that fire I've never felt before. When I got up, just screamed, and after everything I've been through, after everything I lost, you can't beat me. And that's where like lightning went off in the distance. Like, it sounds majestic, I swear, but I saw it. It wasn't like crazy bright, but enough where I noticed it, and that's where I just felt like I went inside, dried off. I grabbed my bottle of whiskey and wrote my book in 2 days. That was the revelation for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this without giving away anything about the book yet. So I have read the book, guys, and you may have already read the review. So if you haven't, go and read the review. It's great. But one thing that I really liked about it was that it was kind of chunked into little revelations. Is that because that was how you were getting them as you went? Is like, oh yeah, I'm realizing this, so I'm gonna chunk this. And
Yeah, so I wanted to basically do like a chronological, from childhood to now.
Okay.
But I broke it up in chunks because I didn't want my story to be just my story. I want it to be our story. So that's where I throw a lot of those reflective questions in there,
Okay.
to make the reader, like, if I can help me, like, I want to be able to help you too. And that's where the chunks come in. And me realizing every lesson that I've been through, I just looked at things differently. I changed my whole perspective on everything.
And that is the key to life, is changing our perspective when it's needed, right? And
Exactly.
from growing as a small child to a teen to a young adult to an older adult to continuingly older adult, we are allowed to change our perspectives. And I think when you don't change them, that's when you run into issues, right? When you're like, if you were to still stay in that mindset of, no, it's only about a relation, a marriage or a relationship is only about making sure the bills are paid and this and that, then you would still be perpetually stuck, right? So changing that perspective, changing your mindset to go, oh, I realize now that I was missing this piece. We are allowed to change. It's not hypocrisy, it's growth, and it's fantastic.
Exactly. I think the big thing for me was not every situation I put myself in, I took myself out, and I basically look at it from outside looking in, right? And that's where you
Yeah.
noticed, like, oh, like you didn't do this or you did this wrong, because you're learning, but now you know it, right? You can't break the cycle if you don't know the cycle.
Exactly. And I love that idea of take yourself out and watch it. It's because we are really great, and I said this in the last interview that recorded. We are really great at helping other people and not so great at helping ourselves. So
Hmm.
that idea of, okay, this is no longer my story. I'm going to take myself out. I'm going to watch it as if it's my best friend. Am I going to let my best friend make these mistakes? Probably not, right? But we let
Ex-
ourselves do them.
exactly. So that's when I did that. That's where everything just shifted for me. It just revelation, enlightenment level type of thinking, is basically where I felt. And basically the same thing. It's like you have your friend, and obviously you're not your friend, so you feel a little differently. But when you're
Yeah.
looking at it from a different perspective, now you can see it's humbling. I tell you that it's humbling, but it's good.
It's good humbling.
Exactly.
All right. So from these revelations, what what kind of changes did you go for?
So for me, it's just the power of being authentic to yourself. That was the biggest one, right? I've always held back in some way, either relationships or just career wise, and just I've always held back a little bit because I'm just like, well, I didn't want to basically scare anybody away, but obviously, at the end, you have to just be yourself, and that was like the biggest one for me. It's just like I'm just gonna be me and take it or leave it. That this is me. That was like the biggest growth I've had. Um, is just to find out what makes you happy and just do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Um, so I'm gonna bring us backwards again. I like to just go all over the place.
I'm all
Um,
about it.
right. So when you came back, how were you received with everyone? I'm assuming, yay, you're back, you're safe and sound, but how did you emotionally deal with integrating yourself back into life?
Well, that's so especially that 2010, 2000 era. Um, the I guess the overseas experience was very intense. So when
Hmm.
you come back, you just you want to be happy, like I'm back home, right?
Yeah.
But you don't feel like you're back. You just feel like you're just your physical's there, but your mental's not there at all.
Hmm.
You're somewhat checked out. So the way we did it is, when I came back, I still had 2 years in the military. So me and my buddies did what a lot of people do. We drank and just were around each other and stay occupied. But you never fully feel like you're back home. There's
Yeah.
a part of you that's over there and it stays over there. That's the sad part, but that's reality.
Hmm.
Because you see, what the worst human beings have to offer, and then how do you handle that, especially being 18 or 19, like you talk to somebody, you're weak, right? And then you're in the military, you got to have this strong persona, but so you can't talk to nobody, you know
Yeah.
if you talk to anybody, you're labeled crazy, so you're like, okay, I'll just keep it to myself, and then you try to fix it by yourself. And so for me, it was just trying to find out what normal was and just go with that. And then
Hmm.
eventually, from time to time, those memories will come up in your life at different times, and then you'll bury them again, and then it happens again.
So how did you finally, I mean, maybe you haven't yet, um, dealt with those memories coming back?
It was just facing it. I think that was the big part. Is just realizing that life wasn't fair. I've seen some things that most people won't never see in their life, but realizing the fact that you know doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It's just
Hmm.
that's just a troubling experience I had to go through. But it also seeing the good in the bad. It was seeing how resilient, how strong mentally I am to still keep going, and that was my how I faced it. Was okay. Well, if I have a bad experience, like what good can I learn from this experience?
Yes. So I like that, the good in the bad, because I mean, we can always learn something. Even when we think that we just ruined everything, um, there's something to be learned. And it could be, as you've already mentioned, learning that, oh, I need to be there mentally as well as physically. Oh, I need to make sure I'm there physically as well as mentally. Like finding that middle, where is that balance in there? And that goes with anything. If when we stumble, when we feel like we have ruined things, that is a mistake. And mistakes are meant to be learned from. So it's all about what you learn from it and how you then process that information to help you then move forward in a better, more, I was going to say more better, like, I don't know. I'm looking for the words, but in a way that is going to be more positive for you as you're pushing forward through life.
Yeah, that's definitely the big thing. It's willing to learn, right? Everybody wants to feel like they make no mistakes and they're,
I'm perfect.
exactly. But the thing is, you have to be willing to learn, and it's going to be humbling because you're going to realize like you didn't perform at the best you should have. But when you learn those lessons in those bad times, that's when you grow.
Yes.
I think a big thing is I always say is, what we do in good times matters. What we do in bad times matters the most. And then I give people example, like how many times has your parents told you they loved you? You probably can't count. But how many times do they hit you or they yell at you? I guarantee people can remember that off the bat.
Right. We do tend to remember the bad things more frequently than the good things.
Exactly. So, but when you learn from those, is it really bad at that point? Like because you're learning.
That's true. I mean, that's exactly what I just said. Throw my own words back in my face. What the heck? Okay, so if somebody was struggling right now, what would be a piece of wisdom you would give them?
Write it down. Right? Like I said, ride or die.
That's right.
This is the thing. It's any situation you're in, if you write it down and you visually can see it, and when you change your perspective and write down entirely what's happening, that's when it like shifts that light bulb in your head. Like, oh, right, you're not thinking about it. Now you see it. This is the problem because I literally wrote it down.
Yes.
It doesn't hold any power over you no more.
Exactly. And you can, when you write stuff down, you're processing it as you're going and you're like, oh, okay, I understand this now. But if you keep it on a loop in your head, it doesn't work the same. Our brains are nasty people that way.
Yeah, big time. Like, because you're focusing on the actual experience. Like for example, let's say you're at work and your boss tells you to do something and somehow you got upset. Like, were you upset because he told you to do something, or was there a deeper reasoning why you're upset?
And
right?
Usually there's a deeper reason.
Exactly. When you write down what you thought, what was said, how he said it, that's when you'd be like, okay, well, it's not because he said this. It's because I don't feel appreciated, or I feel underpaid, or I feel overworked. Yeah. That's the reasoning.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay, so as we're moving forward with this, my brain just went blank. It does that sometimes. But your book, that's what I was trying to say. It's been a long day. Actually, I have this headache that is starting. That's why I keep like playing with my headphones, because they're touching right where my headache is going.
Like, it's the headphone. I don't know. It's weird for me. Like, I don't like hearing. I feel enclosed. I don't like it.
I can usually wear them for hours, but I get these on the back of my head, just massive headache, and now it's like trying to lean forward, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. So bear with me. No so your book just came out, right? Like, you just finished it, just came out. It's fabulous. Tell everybody a little bit more about it.
So my book is it's a short read, right? It was designed that way. I wanted to basically have the reader pick it up in a day or two and finish it, so they can start applying or thinking about their lives,
yes,
immediately. So it's not a military memoir. A lot of people think, okay, you're military, you throw a lot of military in there. Like, no,
Not
no, it's not.
really, no.
It's just a little section.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just my life. I go through childhood, go through military, experience, as well as the psychological experience coming back. Then I go
Mm-hmm.
through being a father, going through, my marriage, my divorce, um, and then I go through the second part is more just lessons that I've learned, acceptance, forgiveness, stuff like that, and how I saw it and how you can see it as well.
They were really great. And like I said earlier, they were chunked nicely. So if something is hitting you heavy, because even though it is a quick and easy read, it's got some pretty important stuff in there, right? So if you take your time to read it and it hits you hard, that's okay.
Oh, easily. It's like my sisters read it and they cried. I met people that read my book and they've cried because it's a heavy book.
Right?
But I think it's we have to, that raw honesty is what we need. We don't,
Yes.
we don't need people to sugarcoat words or
Mm-hmm.
tell us this things nicely. Like just be yourself and tell the truth. And I think that's why I think that it's so impactful for people.
Exactly. You haven't said the name of it yet, just so you're aware.
It's Unbroken, turning pain to purpose. Right here, I got my
There
own
we
copy.
go.
Nice.
Yay!
So even for me, like I'll glance over it and I'll highlight words or things and like boom, and I can remember exactly, where I was at that time and
Mm-hmm.
how I felt. But I think if we look at the questions in the book and actually think about it, that's the biggest. Everybody loves the reflective questions.
Yes.
They're like, I love that.
I also love that they don't always wait to the end of the chapter. They're just where they need to be.
Yeah, so it's not like I might do like a paragraph to boom. I think it's the questions. I'll throw some questions.
Yeah.
so,
And
so,
so many books are like, they'll make you wait all the way to the end of the chapter to think, and then you're like, wait, what was said at the beginning of the chapter? What? So I like that they're just like right there, and they can be simple, but they can be very, very thought provoking.
oh, easily. So especially when you talk about like childhood and family and like forgiveness, those questions. People are
Mm-hmm.
like, that's heavy. Like it's supposed to be heavy. We
Yeah.
need that heaviness sometimes.
Why, thank you for getting my point.
Exactly.
So where do people pick this book up?
So it's on Amazon. It's only on Amazon right now. So it's definitely. I want to try to go like other publishers as well, but I think Amazon is probably the fastest way people can get the book. I think it's just
Perfect.
more.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, I think it's easier.
It is. It's the perfect spot. I mean, everyone shops on Amazon. It is. Comes right to my door. I like it, or right to my phone, depending how I'm getting it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
And you are supporting small business indie authors when you buy their actual books from there.
Yeah, so that's what I like. It's like you bookstores are awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, but it's just getting there. It's a pain. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's the fastest way. Amazon.
Well, and a bookstore, I mean, again, love bookstores, but you're getting that one city where that bookstore is. Whereas Amazon, you're getting everywhere, which is
Exact.
kind of nice.
hmm
Where do people follow you?
So I'm on Instagram. It's juanespinoza.me. Facebook, juanespinoza.me. And then my website, juanespinoza.me.
Perfect.
It's all the same. I'm trying to keep it as
Makes
simple as
it
possible.
easy. I know, I like that. You'd think I would have done that, but I didn't. Um, that's good that it's easy. Do you have any last words to share with us before we say goodbye?
Yes. So basically, you have two questions, right? Pain is a teacher. What is it teaching me? Or what is it teaching you? Right. And then also, are you broken or unbroken or broken? That's your choice.
I like that. All right, you hang in there.
All right.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly.